architecture.
All right, let's try this again. I've done this one time and forgot to hit record. So I had to practice, I guess. So today I'm going to talk a little bit more about paths in Choose Your Own Adventure books. We talked about getting all the materials, using cards to map it out, lay it out. But let's talk about the actual different types of paths. So in a choose your own adventure book, hopefully everyone's familiar that what you do is you read through some of it and then it gives you a choice. If you want to do this, go here. If you want to do this, go here. And when it says go here, it gives you a page number or a section to go to. The choose your own adventure books were typically one page, one section. Sometimes they had more than that. Some of the other books that weren't choose your own adventures had a lot more sometimes. So you get a choice of where to go and you're in control of the story. That's what made them so much fun for kids. I loved them. And that's what made it great. It doesn't have to be just two choices. It could be three, four, though keep in mind, every time you add choices, it adds more branching, depending on how you handle those or what you're doing. We'll talk about more paths here in a second. So don't add a lot of choices to everything and it becomes confusing mess that you can't keep track of. Start simple. It's best to get one that only has several branches and you finish a whole story instead of trying to write the largest one ever that has 3,000 choices. So keep it simple. Um, and as you see here in this example, if you're in the foyer, you can choose to go into the dining room or you can choose to go up the steps. That's the two choices right here. And there's paragraphs of information, obviously. I'm just showing you the basic mapping of it. So let's talk about straight paths. So sometimes when you're in a choose your own adventure book, it doesn't just do a choice. Sometimes it tells you just go here. For example, if you're in the dining room, you can look out the window or you can go down the hallway to the kitchen. That's your two choices. Well, let's go down the hallway to the kitchen, go to 42, let's say. Boom, we're at 42. Instead, I'm reading through again. I want to look out the window. So go to 16. So I look out the window, I go to 16, I read it, it says, you don't really see anything out the window. Let's go to the kitchen. And it sends you to 42. So going from looking out the window to the kitchen, that's a straight path. It just guides you to the same place you would have been if you had chosen to go to the kitchen, but it gave you that earlier choice. So you're in more control. You can use these straight path type things to get you to look at different things. For example, let's say you're in a room, you're investigating. There's a bookcase, there's a fireplace, there's a chair. It says, do you want to go to the kitchen? Do you want to investigate the bookcase? Do you want to investigate the chair? You got several things. Well, let's investigate the chair. Well, you look at the chair, there's nothing there. It takes you back. You're in the living room. Do you want to investigate the bookcase, investigate the chair, or go to the kitchen? Well, let's investigate the bookcase. Well, we don't find anything in the bookcase. Go back to the living room. Do you want to? So again, you see, it gives you a choice to go look at the bookcase, but takes you straight back to the dining room. And from the window, it took you straight to the kitchen. So those are straight choices, and it helps it lets you add in some fun choices earlier without getting too far off track with too many branches. Now let's talk about loops. So a loop made really famous in the Zork game back in the day. This was a digital like choose your own adventure. And what it is, you're in a forest and you can choose to go west and it tells you you're on a path in a forest. Okay, well, I want to go west again. Well, you're on a path in a forest. And what it's really doing is you're in the forest on the section for the forest. When you go west, all it does is take you right back to the same section for the path in the forest. So you're just looping around. In the Zork game, that worked really well because you couldn't see numbers. So it didn't say if you're on 16 in the forest, you want to go west? Yes, we'll go to 16. That's obvious. You're looping around. The Zork game was digital, so it said, do you want to go west? And it kept telling you the same thing till you figured out, hey, I'm not going anywhere. But in a book, you could use a loop that, okay, I go west. You're on a dark path. Do you want to continue or go back? Well, if you continue, it might say, oh, the path gets darker. And then it says go back to 16. It says you're on a path in the forest. So it adds a couple steps before it loops you back. So you read a little bit, and it won't be till maybe the second time that you're like, wait a minute, those numbers I'm going to are the same. You could do a loop that way. Another way to do a loop would be something like you're in a basement and you can go upstairs, or there's a wall and an axe and you want to get through the wall. So do you pick up the axe and break down the wall? Go to 22. All right, to go to 22. Well, you pick up the axe, you hit the wall, and a force knocks you back and you fall unconscious. Go back to 16. Well, in 16, I'm back in the dungeon. Do I want to go upstairs, or there's a wall? Do I want to pick up the axe and break down the wall? Well, yeah, and it keeps looping you around that way. So there are various choices when you're writing this that you can use to make that. And the last thing I want to talk about are the random choices, or things like that were very popular in the fighting fantasy game books from Steve Jackson Games. Ian Livingstone wrote a bunch of those. I enjoyed those also. Let's say you meet a goblin and he says, well, you can go down this path or that path, but I won't tell you, or I take that back. Let's say he says, I can't let you pass unless we make a wager. Okay, roll a dice, and you have to have an actual dice. You roll it. If you roll 1, 2, or 3, he goes, ha, grabs your sword, runs off. So if you had a sword in your inventory, you just lost it. If you roll 4, 5, and 6, he goes, oh, you got me. Let you go down the path. So it's a little bit of a randomness. You're going the same direction, but it adds a little bit to it. Or it could be something along the lines of, the goblin's there. He says, I can't let you pass. Do you have the emerald gem? Well, yes, I do have the emerald gem. Oh, good for you. You take the emerald gem out of your inventory and give it to him, and he gives you a mightier sword and lets you go down the path. If you didn't have the emerald gem, well, he says, well, sorry to hear it. You don't win today, and let you go down the path without the mighty sword. So books like that can give you choices because of inventory or things you're carrying, things you might pick up earlier. When it's a straight choose your own adventure book, you usually don't get those because it's just reading through a story, which, even though you get all those choices, your story that you're embarking on becomes a linear story to you. So I hope these paths helped you out with some ideas if you didn't realize all these were different types of paths. Or if you're stuck and you're like, I don't know what to do, maybe you thought of, oh, I could do something like this. Adding some variety to the paths definitely can keep the story much more interesting. Hey, thank you for watching this video. I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone that watches these, and I hope you got something out of it. If you are looking for more resources for kids, for writing activities, for reading activities, for things to spark their imagination, check out my website, sa-schneider, schneider.com, sa-schneider.com. I've got resources on there for parents, teachers, homeschool, educators, etc. Study guides with all the stories. If you're looking for my new stories, they will be there, the new books, the series. If you are looking for this year's Christmas or Halloween specials, those will be there. It's all there for it. There's a lot going on the website, but I'm trying to make that something that people can go get resources to have fun activities for their kids, to spark their kids into writing, including my video game classes and information on those. So check it out, sa-schneider.com. Thank you.